Welcome back to the bluegrass. It is shaping up to be a hot one. I've already broken a hard sweat this morning, and I have dogs scattered all over the property staking out their shady spots for today. We're not going to let that heat get us down though, because today is the most American of all holidays. It's Independence Day, or what I like to think of as Independence from Oppression Day. If you take a moment to reflect upon the fact that this great republic, this historically unprecedented social experiment in human freedom, was founded in response to tyranny and oppression, it will give you pause. And regardless of your politics, guys, you can take something from that. And what I mean is that you can think in terms of identifying whatever it is that's oppressing you, whatever it is that's sitting on your shoulders. Pick it up, chuck it off your life path, and start making progress towards meeting your short and long range goals, okay? Now that's my big message for today, because I always like to tie my dog training into, my lifestyle, what I like, and listen, I'm a pro-freedom person, I'm a pro-happiness person, I'm a pro-family person, and so I feel like if you just kind of internalize these principles of being a good citizen and you live them in relation to your fellow community members, and you live them in relation to your dogs, everything's going to work out. You're going to have a great dog, you're going to have a great family, and you're going to have a great place in your community. All right. So I know that's enough preaching. I'll stop preaching. We'll get to talking about what we're here to talk about today, which is how to help your dog deal with 4th of July celebrations. So we're going to walk up to my small challenges course, and I'm going to give you some tips and tricks from my perspective. But before we head up to the Exercise with Small Challenges course, I have to remind you guys of why I'm standing out in this field in the first place, okay? Exercise is the king as it relates to preparing for 4th of July activities, okay? A lot of people, when they're thinking about preparing a dog for 4th of July activities, they think in terms of anxiety, right? But there's also other things you have to think about. You have to think about poor manners. Luckily for us, there is an inverse relationship between exercise and anxiety, or exercise and poor manners, okay? So, if you just have a dog that's worried because of all the fireworks and all the activities, if you exercise them a whole lot, it'll reduce their anxiety. If you have a dog that's pretty cool and he likes all the noise and activity, all right, just remember, exercise shares an inverse relationship with misbehavior. So a tired dog is a less anxious dog, but also a tired dog is a more well-behaved dog. All right, so exercise is the king. So what have I been doing all morning? Take my whole kennel out, and we exercise in the big yard, and then I'd go out in shifts and I exercise them back on my back property where I have my hiking pass and my creek and my other adventure stuff, okay? So just remember that. No matter what else I say today, exercise is the king of dealing with 4th of July related dog issues. Dogs, come on! Oh, good dogs! Oh my gosh! Oh, you're good dogs! Very nice! Oh, come on, fine animals. Oh, you can do it. Very nice. We just get out here. We run some little zigzag patterns. Oh my gosh. On our way back to the small challenges course. Oh, very good dogs. Listen, guys, just walking the dog, a lot of times it's going to get them to be tired like you want them to be. You get out, you start running you some zigzags with them. Now we're talking. Big time progress. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Very nice dogs. Very nice. Come on, come on. Oh, it's a good dogs. Oh, it's a good dog. Oh my gosh, come on dogs. Up. Very nice. Come on, you can do it. Oh, you need a little help? Very nice. All right. Now, one of the first things to think about today is that, dogs are social creatures. So just like you're going to go out and you're going to go to a pool party, hey, listen, your dogs like to party. Your dogs like to party probably more than you do, okay? So you have to keep in mind that, if you want your dog to have a good 4th of July, it'll really help if you'll take him out and do some stuff, Like people call me or people email me and they ask me about how to help their dog deal with 4th of July, and it always kind of goes like this: hey, Stoney, I'm going to a party and I don't want my dog to be upset when he's left at home. Well, listen, your dog wants to party too. Take your dog to the party. Never lose sight of the fact that dogs are social animals, right? So if you think about your own anxiety level, if you came out here and hung out with Uncle Stoney and we went and rode four-wheelers today and we grilled some steaks and we shot some rifles and we had a good time celebrating freedom, okay? Well, what would your anxiety level be? It would be real low, right? But what if you came over here and I locked you in my closet for the day while I went out and did fun stuff? So you know that while I'm out riding four-wheelers, you're locked in my closet. By the time I get back from riding four-wheelers, where's your anxiety going to be? Okay, so that's one of the first things you can do to help your dog have a good day, is really integrate them into your day. Make sure that you're both out doing some fun and exciting activities. Okay? Never forget that your dog is a social creature and they like to be around lots of kids, they like to be around lots of dogs, they like to be around lots of other people. And I know, some of you have dogs that don't like those things, and we're going to get to that. But the vast majority of dogs in the world, they love social time. They love going out and doing stuff. And remember our concept of puppy-sized adventures. Just because it doesn't seem like an adventure to you doesn't mean that it's not going to be an adventure to your dog. Okay, so that's our first thing, is integrate your dog into your social activities if possible. Now, once you've made the decision to not be selfish and to fully integrate your dog into the holiday activities, there's just a couple of things that you really have to keep in mind on the 4th of July that are different from other days. And those things are really kind of obvious, right? Number one, you have a bunch of children running around playing with explosives. And so, like, everybody gets so fired up, you know, having a good time on the 4th of July. You go out and you get some explosives at the local explosive tent, and you come home and you've got a lot of stuff. You're preparing for company, or you're preparing to go see somebody or whatever. You forget that your little kids just run in there and they get in the sacks and they go outside with fire and explosives and start having a good time. Well, you could see where a dog, like say Margot here, does she look like she has a good understanding of the potential dangers of fire and explosives? Zoom in on Margot there. Now you tell me this dog here has a really profound ability to assess risk. Because she doesn't, right? And you have to take that into account. Like if you have little kids running around in your neighborhood and they've got fire in one hand and explosives in the other, you better watch where that dog's going in relation to those little roving packs of pyromaniacs. Now, from my perspective, what's even more dangerous than children exercising their God-given right to roam the countryside, unsupervised, blowing things up, is what all too many of you guys are doing today, which is, let me show you what I think most of y'all are probably doing, okay? Now, for those of you from where Uncle Stoney's from, you know what's in this mason jar. Now, for those of you who, you're from other parts of America, maybe you don't know exactly what's in this mason jar, but think of it as being somewhat similar to what comes in your aluminum cans or your glass bottles, or for you soy eaters out there, your little cups with the umbrella hanging out the side, all right? But what happens when you get into your jar a little too early? Okay, what happens when you get into your jar just a little bit too deep? You start making bad decisions, okay? So when you take your dog out and your friends are all imbibing, you have to prepare for the effect that that might have on your dog, because what do people that have been drinking a little do? They stumble, hey, they get in dogs' faces. Hey, I love you. Do you love me? Oh, yeah, I'll take you home with me. I'll take you home with me. Oh, yes. Oh, and you're loving, and you're loving, and you're loving. And they get up and they fall around, right? Okay, they just do silly stuff. And now all these dogs are pretty chill and they're pretty cool, and well, maybe that's because they have a little extra experience with people being a little too far in the jar. I don't know. But not all dogs react like that. Some dogs, it makes them super nervous. And every 4th of July, the emergency room is full of people that have been bit on the hand and the face because they got a little bit too far into their cups and they started making bad decisions around dogs. So that's a lose-lose situation. The owner of the dog loses. The dog loses because now he's viewed as a dog that bites people. And the person that got bit, their holiday celebration and libation has been cut short and they're at the hospital, right? So that's not cool, Now what's even more dangerous than that is a lot of times people, they've been drinking a little bit and they're hanging around and everybody's doing fireworks. And they're like, hey, Bobby Joe, look what I got. And they light a whole brick of fireworks. Hey, Bobby Joe, look, Bobby Joe. And they just take and they wing the fireworks, okay? And they don't think about it, but there was a dog laying under that lawn chair over there. And he sees it go, and he goes, oh, something to fetch. Run out there and grab it. And pop, 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 pop. And that happens every 2 or 3 years. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens enough of the time. Look at this dog. He knows I've been in that bottle a little bit already this morning. So he's busted me right here on live TV, but that's okay. I'm gonna I'm gonna carry on. But so that's real dangerous, guys. So make sure that while you're out at your social activity, you keep an eye on everybody that's been tipping that bottle a little too much. So we have to be on the lookout for roving little pyromaniacs, okay, making crazy decisions, right? We have to be on the lookout for adult pyromaniacs that have been lifting that bottle a little too much. What else do we have to look at? Maybe those two things aren't present. Maybe you don't have a lot of children around blowing things up, and maybe none of your friends drink. That doesn't mean that your holiday celebration still can't be dangerous for the dog. Because what if you don't have the drinking and you don't have much in the way of fireworks, what do you still have? The grill. Okay, so let me get my grill out. So this is my little portable grill that I keep in the adventure wagon. And this is awesome. You know, we go out and we grill and we have a good time, but think about the dangerous things that come off of this grill. The first thing is the grill's hot. You know, the dogs go over there, they stick their nose to it because it smells like food, bam, burn nose. Another thing that happens is dogs sometimes will bump into the grill, knock it over. Now, you know, people step on the coals or they fall into the coals or something gets set on fire. That's also bad. But you know, what's the most common problem is you grill something like ribs, and you gotta watch out for ribs, guys, because, you know, you'll just be sitting around, people be sucking that rib meat off the bone, and they don't think about it, but they'll give that bone to a dog. And the next thing you know, your dog has swallowed a whole rib bone. You know, and let's just be honest, not all your dogs mind that good. So it might not be that somebody gave them a bone. It might just be that they walked up and took the bone. Okay, so we have to try to create a buffer zone around the grill. And so one of the things that you can do, and like I come out loaded for bear as it relates to our grilling, is I carry a water gat. You see what I'm saying? Now, so let me show you. If they start coming over here and getting near my grill, then I draw down on them, create the appropriate amount of distance, and I create a buffer zone around my grill. And what that does is it allows me to safely grill, okay, and have a good time, even though the dogs are out in the same area as the grill is. And you can do the same thing. Let me grab a chair. You can do the same thing with the chair. You just take the chair and you put your little food. You know how people get up and go to the potty, and you put your little they'll leave their beer or whatever and their rib plate there, right? If you're loaded properly with a water gat, then you can keep that dog away from that rib plate. You see how I did that? Now, gotta be a good shot, and you gotta have a lot of physical presence. You gotta be a serious person. But if you're a serious person, that water gat will keep your dog safe around a grill and a plate of ribs. Now let's talk about dogs that are a little bit nervous, or maybe even a whole lot nervous about the 4th of July festivities. All right, so we try to, you know, when we have a dog that's nervous, we try to think in terms of following some simple rules. The first rule is if you have a dog that looks a little worried about what's going on, well, you want to keep an eye on them. Okay, so supervision. You have to have the dog where you can see them, because if you can't see them, you don't know what they're up to, and you don't know what the people around them are up to. So supervision is important. The second thing that we have to make sure is that we have a leash and a collar placed on the dog securely. Okay, if this collar is not on the dog securely, then what could happen is you have a dog who's a little bit nervous about the fireworks that are going off in the distance, and maybe someone in your group or in your local area sets off some fireworks closely, and what goes from a little bit of nervousness goes to a full-blown panic-induced flight. Okay, so the dog starts backing up, the collar comes off his head. Well, when the collar comes off his head, you'll panic. And then all your friends will panic, and then everybody's been drinking and they're all chasing the dog. And so now the dog already is tore up because, like, the explosions, the world's coming to an end, and everybody's chasing him like a zombie movie, right? So of course you could see where, like, letting the dog get off the leash would cause trouble. So keep your leash on him tight. Now, this is something else that's important. When you go over to your friend's house, maybe they've got a swimming pool, or maybe they've got a backyard where you feel secure because they've got it, it's all fenced in, you know? Double check and make sure all the doors and all the gates are properly closed and latched. Every single year, you know, I'll get emails about dogs that have darted through doors or darted through gates that people thought were closed and latched and secure, but turned out they weren't. Okay, so keep it simple. Supervise them, keep a good handle on them that they can't get away from, lock all the doors and gates, right? It's so simple. If you follow those rules, even if your dog's a little bit nervous, maybe falls over into the big nervous category, you're still under control, no harm, no foul. Some of you guys have dogs, I know, that they're way past the little bit nervous phase, right? They're way past the big time nervous phase, and they literally have meltdowns. They have what we call around here go to pieces. You know, when the fireworks start happening, they just have go to pieces, and they lose their minds, you know? Okay, so for those dogs, we have a few things that we think are helpful. Now, number one, exercise. I just can't stress that enough. So, you know, you hear me say it in all my videos, but a tired dog is a good dog, and, you know, there's an inverse relationship between exercise and anxiety. So, you know, of course I have to say it again because, I mean, I really believe it that much. If you'll notice, I have my daughter out here exercising. I mean, I think that exercise it's a cure for most ills, you know. Now, there are some other steps that you can take that really help a dog deal with you know, fireworks or noise-related anxiety. So we exercise them. Okay, that's the first thing we do. We exercise them. And the second thing we do is we try to think in terms of putting them in a situation where we can at least somewhat control the environmental stimulation level. All right. Now this is what's called a moving or a packing blanket. You can get these anywhere. And what they're for is for, like, you know, when you're moving from house to house, the movers put them in the trucks and it keeps things from getting scratched up. And they're not very good blankets, but they're very good sound insulators. Okay, so you can take these, and if you have a bedroom or something, you can put these up on the windows, right? You can just kind of clip them up there, or you can put your little hook in the wall. You can put them up there, and that's cool, you know, and it'll cut down on all of the light and a substantial percentage of the noise and vibration that comes through your windows. Now, let's say that you don't have a room where you can do that. Each year, you'll see people do this, and this causes trouble. People will have a dog, and the dog sometimes sleeps in one of these little plastic crates, plastic prisons, whatever. Okay, and you think in terms of putting a dog in here keeps it safe and secure, and I understand that, that's cool. And most of the time, you know, maybe you have a wire one, or maybe you have one like this that has these big ventilation holes in it. Well, people will think, okay, well, my dog is worried, so I'm going to make him a little den. And so they'll take a blanket, maybe sometimes a moving blanket, because they're good noise insulators. Watch out, dog. And they'll cover... Go ahead, Charlie. Go on. Yeah, Charlie ain't afraid of anything. So, and they'll cover the crate like this, thinking that, you know, making this a dark, quiet place is going to make the dog feel secure. So then they go out, they go to their party, and when they come back, what has happened is this blanket has been sucked through every single hole in the crate. Happens all the time, okay? And now, so while you've been out partying, doing 4th of July stuff, your dog's been home, nervous, wondering where you were, wondering why it wasn't part of the party, right? And things are blowing up around it, and it starts to have oral displacement behavior and starts to suck these blankets into these holes. So now your partying day is interrupted by having to go to the emergency vet because your dog has ate 10 yards of a fleece blanket that you tried to use to make a you know, a den for him. Okay, so does that mean that I'm anti, you know, using that method? No, but I think you should make some adjustments to it. And I'm going to show you right now how to make some adjustments to it that give you the benefits of a crate cover, but it decreases the liability of that particular technique. So I have a cheap mover's blanket, and I have, you want to get in there? Okay. All right, and I have a crate. All right, so I take my moving blanket and I throw it over my chairs, and I position it so that I have good airflow here. I want it kind of close to the floor so it can do its job as a noise insulator, but not so close to the floor that it restricts all the airflow. And I'm going to take a little $2 clamp one side, little $2 clamp the other side, adjust my chairs in such a way that my noise insulating layer still is able to do its job, but it's not so close to my crate that the dog can suck the material through the ventilation holes or the wire mesh. Okay, so this is the safe way to do that make a den with a blanket technique, and it works fine. There's nothing wrong with this, guys. But doing this little bit of extra work that it took for me to rig this up think about it like, you know how children like to build a fort with the kitchen chairs? All I've done is I've built a fort for my dog that's a little bit nervous, or maybe a whole lot nervous, or maybe full-blown panic-stricken as it relates to 4th of July festivities, right? I've built them a fort, a mental fort. This fort's going to protect them from the noise and from the light and from all the things they can't get away from. But I've decreased the liability of their nervousness being manifested as an oral displacement behavior and them sucking this insulating material into the crate and causing them discomfort, a possible trip to the emergency vet that costs $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000, or maybe even, you know, gosh forbid it, death. All right, guys, well, I hope this little video helped you. So get out, have a good time. Don't get too deep in those jars, and come home safe tonight. I'll see you later.